Okay, here we go. Some master cycle rolling, starting just from basically our knees. So I'm grabbing hold of his wrists, and I'm actually sitting at the moment, so I've got my feet forward. This gives me access to stuff like arm drags, which is what I just did to him. So I grab his arm, pull it past me, and take the back. I use my non-choking hand to push his hand off as I get the rear naked choke. I did watch this video. This video was recorded quite a while ago. I did watch it before I did this narration just to see what was going on. There's a lot of arm drags on it, so it's obviously something I was working on at the time. His hips are very high, a little bit too high, so what I do is I grab his arm with the same side arm, and that allows me to then pull it across my body with the opposite side arm, and then we have the back again. So there's quite a few setups I've been mucking around with when it comes to arm drags. One of them is I grab his arm with my cross side arm, hoping he will try and grab it with his same side arm. Let's see if I do some of that now. So I'm just waiting to see what he grabs. I'm trying to grab his hands to bait him, and then if his head drops down too low, the risk is that I grab the guillotine, which is what's happening now. So the two together are quite good. Whenever you're in you're not actually on the ground, so let's say you're standing, the guillotine and the takedowns in combination work very well, because if they drop their head too low, you can grab the guillotine, and if they lift their head too much, then you can shoot in for the takedowns. And it's kind of similar, I guess, when you're in this kind of situation. It's like sportive start, where one's kneeling or one's sitting or both kneeling or whatever it is. You can go for these arm drags, and if they pull their head down too much, you can also go for the guillotines. So I just did the arm drag again. I don't think he's seen this before, so I think in a minute I'm going to explain it to him. Yeah, I think I'm explaining it now. So I'm showing him how I grab the hand, I feed it to the opposite arm, thumbless grip, and then pull the arm across, and then hip away from him to get him to tip over, and then you have the back. Quite often people, if you hit the arm drag and it works out, you can shoot the choke immediately, because as they're falling, they're not really defending their neck, they're still thinking about the fact they've just been arm dragged. So I'm going to let him pass the guard now and side mount me, so I can practice some of my defences, and also he gets to practice some attack as well. At the moment, yeah, so what I did there is I swung my outside hand under his armpit. As he tries to bring his arm over the top, I swung my outside hand under the armpit. So he has me, I have him in a 3/4 guard now. So I don't have full guard, and I wrap for a Kimura from the bottom. Normally I sweep him over the top when I do that Kimura wrap from the bottom. I shoot my head underneath and sweep him over the top. But his head dropped a lot, so I jumped on his back again. This is actually strong side. We call this strong side back attack. And don't let the name fool you. Weak side is actually stronger. It's just, the reason we call this strong side is just for a rear naked choke. It's just stronger, just for a straightforward rear naked choke. And what I do if I'm on strong side is I wrap the neck, and then I use my other hand to push his hands off, and then finish the full rear naked choke. So I'm going to go back to mucking around with the arm drags, I guess, or go for a guillotine. So he should be pulling his head up. When I pulled his head down like that, he should be pulling his head up. Anytime you go for a guillotine, if it doesn't work out, quite often you get the sweep, which is what just happened here. So if you dive for a guillotine and the person does everything to fight it, you still quite often get the sweep. So that was a arm bar, spin to the opposite side arm bar. We call that the elbow cup arm bar. So in the guard now, holding the back of his head and grabbing his wrist to see what he does. Sometimes they pull their wrists away and you can jump for the triangles. Guillotine again. So as he shot his hands underneath for the double under guard pass, I wrapped his neck. Looking for the arm drags again. Anytime I'm hand fighting like this, that's what I'm looking for at the moment. But he's getting a bit more savvy to it. You see, he kind of did a limp arm then, so the arm drag doesn't work. That's all you have to do to stop an arm drag, is limp arm. If you try and resist it, that's where you give the arm drag. So I've got a 2-on-1 grip then. You saw me grabbing the wrist and holding the back of his elbow. Call that 2-on-1 grip. Back into the guard, so 1 foot on the hip to control the distance. Bring my knee in, this is a classic triangle setup. And then switch into the omoplata. Triangle and the omoplata have exactly the same setup. Going back to the triangle. See the omoplata and the triangle like brothers, you can switch between them. And then from triangle to arm bowl. Good job. Grabbing the wrist again, there's that 2-on-1 grip, and this time I'm going to push him back. So anytime you're going for these arm drags and guillotines, another tool in your arsenal is to like do an ankle pick and push them back. As I did that, he wrapped for a guillotine, but the trouble is he's holding it from side mount, which you shouldn't do, because then if someone holds a guillotine from the bottom of the side mount, you can finish with the Von Flew choke, which is what just happened. It was hard to see though, because the camera was the wrong side to see it. Anyway, good job, Adrian.